When I was growing up on Elm Place in New Jersey, in Nutley, New Jersey, every single home had its version of pot roast. At our house, the pot roast was born out of frugality. It was a dish made with inexpensive cuts of meat and basic root vegetables cooked together in the same pot. And that meal stretched to make meals for days to come, even in a family like ours of 6 kids and 2 adults. And today, well, the pot roast is still a favorite money-saving dish. This is one of my favorite things to do, braise a nice chunk of meat like this chuck eye roast. First step is to brown the meat. Very essential. You want a good-looking piece of brown meat when you're finished. And you can't brown meat in liquid. It just won't brown. Even in the oven, it just won't brown if there's any moisture whatsoever. So we're going to brown the meat first in a little bit of olive oil right in the pot in which we're going to make the pot roast. Before you brown it, put some salt and pepper all over it. A generous amount, rub it into the meat. Pre-seasoning is a really important part of the process. It's good to keep a piece of paper, parchment paper, under the meat. That way you really keep your counter clean. And when working with raw meat, remember to wash your hands after, and remember your pepper should be freshly ground, your salt a good quality. Okay, ready to start browning. Quite hot in the bottom of this pan. You're going to hear a lot of sizzling there. And don't try to turn the meat until it easily releases. It'll tell you when it's ready to turn. Smells good already. Now, most pot roasts, most braises start with a mirepoix, which is a combination of aromatic vegetables, generally an onion, a carrot, and a stalk of celery. And we're just going to cut the onion into thin slices like this. Coarsely chop the celery and carrots, which have been peeled. The same combination of vegetables is called a sofrito in Italian. So they're ready to go. I think we can try to turn the meat. Lifting easily. This is a very wonderful piece of meat, browning perfectly. Look at that fabulous color that it's getting. That's what you want on your finished pot roast. You'd want a nice dark exterior and a well-cooked, silky result. The meat has been tied. That holds the shape. The browning of the meat takes about 8 to 10 minutes. Have patience. It's worth it. Now remove the meat to a baking sheet. There. Oh, great looking. So delicious. And now to the pot. Just add your lovely onions, your thyme, bay leaf, peppercorns, carrots, and celery. And you don't really want to brown the onion as much as make it translucent in the olive oil. For most braising, you would have this kind of a base of vegetables in the bottom of the pan. This takes 2 or 3 minutes. And if they start to cook too much, you can add just a little bit of water to stir up the brown bits. And I'm going to do that right now, just a little bit. Well, the onion has softened, the celery too. Carrots take a little bit longer because they're harder, but it's ready and time to add the flour. Just 1 tablespoon of flour will do, and cook that well done. You don't want to have a floury taste. And the flour allows the liquid to be absorbed and sauce to thicken. If the flour is well done, add the rest of your water. And so altogether, we've added about 1 1/4 cups of water. Now, some people might want to add a little bit of red wine, beef stock, veal stock, vegetable stock. It really doesn't matter, but I think water just works very well, and about 2 tablespoons of red wine vinegar for a little bit of acidity. So can you see how it's thickening? So now, just lower the heat so it's simmering but not boiling, and the liquid should come up only about 1 inch on the sides of the meat. And here goes our meat. Cover it tightly, and with less liquid in the pot, you'll need to watch it more carefully and turn the roast more frequently. Just cook, turning every 30 minutes until tender, 2.5 to 3 hours. So now the meat is quite beautiful. Remove it carefully to a baking sheet like this. You're going to put the meat back in, but we want to cook the rest of the vegetables. And we want to strain this gravy. So into a bowl, just strain, and we'll also take out a little bit of the fat. So all the aromatics have really cooked down. Press them through the sieve as much as you can. So this is basically the gravy and the sauce. Put this back into the pot. But you see you have a pretty nice brown gravy. It's very, very tasty. And the vegetables, about 3/4 pound of carrots, of turnips, and of tiny baby potatoes. You can use quarters or sliced potatoes, thickly sliced potatoes too. This is the nice turnip. And peel the turnip, and I'm cutting it into wedges, sort of like apples for an apple pie. And now turn the heat back on. Once this comes back to a simmer, put the meat back on top, cover, and cook for another 15 to 20 minutes or until the vegetables are tender to the point of a knife. So the meat is out of the gravy. It looks really tender and so delicious. Now remove carefully the trussing strings. Now it's important to let the meat rest for about 10 or 15 minutes, because if you try to slice it when it's really, really hot, it may just completely fall apart. This is a very tender cut of meat. Now that looks like pot roast. Grandma Gilbert's, Grandma Roskovsky's, Grandma Kostira's, my mother's, mine, and now yours. The meat has reached the right consistency. When it is silky, can be shredded easily, and the meat should be very, very tender, but firm enough just to slice so it looks like that. Now that looks really good, braised pot roast.